Alright guys, so in this video, we are going to be breaking down how I lit our 1 minute short film for Film Riot's 1 minute stay at home challenge. Now, just a disclaimer, I am not a cinematographer. I did not go to school. I pretty much just learned on YouTube. So if you are already familiar with a lot of lighting techniques and whatnot, this is probably not the video for you. But if you're a beginner who's trying to learn on how to light stuff and cinematography stuff, then you can go ahead and stick around so you can see how I lit this little 1 minute short film. So if you haven't seen the actual short film itself, go ahead and check out the comments below for the link so you can watch that first. It's only 1 minute, it's real quick, and then come back to this video so you can watch how I lit the actual short film. Alright, so here I am in DaVinci Resolve, and we're going to actually go shot by shot, which, to be honest, there's only maybe 4 shots in the whole entire skit because it's only 1 minute and I didn't really do a lot of setups. So the first one we're looking at is the very beginning, which is the entrance or the slide to the left. I did use a Eldachrome slider version 2 that I just got literally that day because my GVM broke. But yeah, I'm using the Eldachrome slider with the 1DX Mark III camera, and that's pretty much it, and a Sigma 35mm lens for this wide shot right here. So if you watch a lot of movies, one of the things that really just make me wonder is the use of practical lighting, as you can see here. If you watch movies or TV shows, you're going to see that there's practical lights everywhere. Even in daytime, they have practical lights. So that is one of the things that really add cinematicness to it, because we're just so brainwashed into thinking that that's okay. So imagine if I didn't have that practical lighting there, it would just be too dark. For the practical lighting itself, I tried a couple of bulbs that I got, but the thing that worked perfectly was an Aperture MC, small MC, little light, RGB W light that I was able to dim down to 5%, but it was actually still pretty bright in my opinion. Looking at it now, I could have used a little black ND filter or gel on that actual light to even dim it a little bit more. So, and then the lamp itself was just something my wife bought from the grocery store. It was just something really cool that it can extend all the way up. The original one I had was too small. It was just way too small. You couldn't really see it. So she got me one that's big enough so you can actually see the practical lighting. So that's the first light you're looking at, is the practical lighting. Inside it is an Aperture RGBW light. Okay. Moving on to the outside of this shot, what's kind of key lighting him or backlighting him or me is an Aperture 120D Mark II, and I had a Fresnel on it, and I had it zoomed all the way out as far as I could in my backyard, as high as I can, using a C-stand. And then in front of it, because I wanted a little bit of texture, I grabbed some weeds from the backyard that was growing because it's been raining like every day here. So I grabbed the weeds from the ground, I put it on a little stand, extended it all the way up, and then put it right in front of the light to create that little nice movement in front of the light. As you can see, I'm gonna move forward because you can actually see it. Well, I'm going to show you that later. You can see it more in another shot, but that's what's working out there. A 120D Mark II all the way up, all the way back, turned all the way up, and then that's keying him. And then another thing that is very, very important, and you know, I'm actually just learning cinematography right now. You know, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know I started with cameras, which honestly, I wish I would have learned cinematography more, because it's much more important than buying cameras. Obviously, cameras will get you more views, but if you want to get into making movies, learn cinematography first and then choose your camera. But that's just my opinion. So another little small thing that made a huge difference in the scene is the curtains. So before that, we had a blockout curtains, pretty much just pitch black. So what I ended up doing was buying a $19 white curtain from the store and just hanging it up there. My wife hung it up because I'm too short, but she hung it up there for me so that I can have a little bit of just something there instead of it being black. One of my favorite shots or any scenes in a movie is light from the outside pushing through inside. It's just so moody. It's an amazing, and it looks amazing. Every time I get a chance, I always try to replicate that look. Light outside shooting through something and then lighting inside. Obviously I still have a lot of work to do, but I think I'm getting a little bit better in my opinion. But yeah, so that's what's lighting there. Just that one light, because that's all I have. Moving on to the next shot is the same lighting setup, but obviously I moved the camera to behind me, and then I changed the lens to a contact size 50mm, which is my only 50mm lens, because the 35mm originally was too wide, so I wanted it a little bit tighter, and I'm glad I did because I think it looked really good. For the practical light, it's the same thing. I just had to move it just because, you know, the aperture light, MC light, is rectangle. It's not 360, so I have to constantly move it around so that it's not dark, because you can only light one side of that lampshade. There is what I'm trying to say. That being said, another tip again when lighting cinematography period is props, right? If you look here to the, let me go ahead and remove this so you can kind of see a little bit more. To the top right, I didn't have all of this here before. Since we just moved in, that was blank, that was empty. So what I ended up doing was just grabbing a bunch of stuff that would make sense for the baby and put it up there. Got a picture up there, got some nose spray, got some love sign, got some books, put it all up there because it's a white wall. The whole entire house has white walls. White walls are not cinematic whatsoever. If you watch a lot of movies, you'll notice that majority of the time when they're doing movies, they have their walls painted or wallpapered. So for me, I had to put some stuff there because if not, it would just be white. Same goes for this little guitar. If I didn't put the guitar there, that would just be white. If I had more time, I would have honestly do a lot more there, but honestly, I set this thing up in 35 minutes. The whole entire thing, lighting and everything with the set props and stuff. See some diapers here. And on this shot, you can actually see my Sigma 35mm right here. I totally forgot about it. But yeah, it's right there. And that's pretty much it. Got two lights, one practical and one outside pushing in through some white curtains. And that's that setup. Moving on to the B-roll shots of my son. This had no light, and you can probably guess that. It's in the same room, but during his nap time, which is 1300, 1 p.m., no lights whatsoever. That's natural light coming from the windows during daytime. Funny story is my wife was Skyping a family member, and he fell asleep on my arm because it was nap time, and I was like, hey, grab the camera because I can guarantee you this, it's not going to work at night. He's going to be crying a lot. We're not going to get this peaceful, you know, angelic baby at night. So during nap time, she grabbed the camera, put it at 60 frames per second, and she started rolling. And I honestly think it worked. Obviously, you don't see the flicker because it's just sunlight. It doesn't have the bush or the weeds that I pulled from the ground. So that's the only bad thing about this, is you don't see the light flicker in all of his shots. So this thing right here has zero artificial light. It's just the sun, 1 p.m. sun, you know, through the windows, and that's pretty much it. So for this shot, all the sun with no lighting. All right, so the next setup is the third setup. It's the opposite side of the back shot is the one in front of me, and with my wife in behind me, just on the right side. Let's start with the key. So the key light lighting my face right now is another LED light. It's the GVM LED light, and I put it last second. I put it inside the lampshade, and that was it. I put it, it's a little rectangle LED light. I put it inside the lampshade, put it into my face, and call it a day. That's the key light. And then the backlight here, I moved it from the other lamp, and that is now in there. The aperture RGBW light is in there as well, acting as practical once again. Now, for the backlight through the window, and man, this right here is actually, this little pattern is by accident. I only had one light, like I said, so all I did for this light here was actually pan that 120D Mark II to the right. So that one light is actually hitting two windows, which is really, really not ideal. And that's why you'll see that I got a lot of noise on this footage, and I had to use a little bit of noise reduction because I didn't want to crank the ISO up. I just really had to pretty much just take a bite at it, because there's only one light, 120D Mark II, lighting two windows. It's not ideal, but you know, you just live and learn. Maybe one day I'll be able to afford two LED lights. We'll see. But that's really it. And if you look, that little GVM light actually, thankfully, caught some of my wife's face. So that worked out. You know, that's the same light. And that's it. To be honest, that's all the lighting setup I have. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much how I lit the 1 minute short film that I made for Film Riot's Stay at Home Short Film Challenge. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And like always, thanks for watching.